Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 31 of the 911 Lone Star RoundUp. I'm one of your hosts, EJ, and with me today are my lovely co-hosts, Katie.
Hey guys.
And Grace.
Hey everyone.
Today we will be sharing our Season 2 TARLOS rankings of all their scenes. There's a lot to rank, and we have a lot more than we had last season, so this is going to be fun. And also, I'm going to say that every one of these scenes could probably be my top 5.
Yeah,
at some point.
Yeah.
Even least ranked, it's not because we don't like them, it's just because the others we like just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's so hard.
It is so hard.
Yeah.
And to all the people that were like, we got no Tarlo scenes, excuse me, we got 15 plus. They might have been 3-second scenes, but 3 seconds is better than 0 seconds.
Right, totally. Yeah, so we have a huge list of honorable mentions, but we have our top 15.
Yeah.
We narrowed it down to the top 15 big ones that...
Yeah, these are legit Tarlo scenes. It's not because the other ones I felt overshadowed these ones, where these ones are actually their scene and not other people in a scene.
Right.
Yeah, it's I remember you, Katie, you were trying to organize the ranking, and you're like, there's something, I'm just like, make an honorable mention section.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
I cannot imagine if we took the honorable mentions and put them into the ranking.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it just made it harder, too, because it was just well, this scene is really cute, but I wouldn't rank it the same I would rank their solo scenes because those are way different. Mm-hmm. I'm like, those are just different vibes. I can't compare these.
Yeah.
Shall we get started?
Yes, let's do it.
Number 15 for Katie is
the 212 fight scene. Actually, spoiler, we all put this, which I love, which I kind of figured because we kind of talked about this before. But for me, this wasn't the worst thing in the world to happen, but I really did not like this. And if I could rewrite this scene, I'm gonna be honest, I would 100%.
Oh, totally.
I would just the bare bones of the scene isn't terrible, but there's a few things that I don't like about it, and I would rewrite it just in certain ways to make it just not so, because it could have been sweet and stuff, protective and stuff, but no, it just did not it was, I get the moment, I get the feeling, but it was just not it.
Right.
So for me, as Kay said, we put it all down. For me, I liked that it wasn't a perfect scene. I liked that it showed conflict, and this would be a conflict-causing scenario. Mm-hmm. But I don't like conflict.
Yeah.
Right.
And seeing them fight and broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it was that moment of, well, how much of a line was crossed here? And so, I don't dislike the scene. It just couldn't go any higher because I didn't love the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much what you guys said. I think for me it was just, TK crossed the line, I think was for me the big one. The context of the scene, TK was upset. There was things going on and Carlos was trying to be there for him. And I think TK just went a little overboard and it definitely crossed lines that he should never have.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel I also don't enjoy conflict, especially between TK and Carlos, because they've already gone through so much outside of their relationship that conflict between the two of them is really not something I want to see.
Just let them be happy.
Yeah. Can we have a season where they don't get shot and kidnapped and stuff? Just say it.
I mean, that's asking the writers to do nothing to buck and 911.
Literally.
Yeah, so we did our 15. So number 14.
For me, it was the farmer market scene in 204, right before they ran into Carlos' parents, or I guess that's the whole scene. But for me, I was okay, I like this scene, but also I feel it kind of is overshadowed because almost the whole time they're talking about Marjan. So it is about them because it's really cute because they're shopping in the farmer's market and it's true couple things. And just there's little things that people might have not noticed, like the bag that they were carrying was like one TK had in a previous episode, like in the couple episodes before that. So like that's a little thing. And there were cute little things, but just because of the conversation they were having, although there was one line in the scene where TK said something like, oh, about talking about marriage. Oh, I don't know if I could hold out that long, like waiting till 30. And Carlos is like, oh, something about like when they first met.
15 minutes
Yeah.
after we met.
Yeah, that. I was just like,
Oh my goodness. Yeah, for me, it was also farmer's market scene. And, this one was a hard one to choose between the post farmer's market fight and the farmer's market scene itself.
mm-hmm.
And I agree it was overshadowed, but I actually think it was overshadowed by running into the parents.
Oh, yeah. I honestly had kind of discounted that from the scene. I'm like, that's no.
Yeah. And you're right. It is largely their conversation. Like, it doesn't revolve around, them. It's all about Marjan. But I will say this is a flexible scene for me.
Oh, yeah.
It could go anywhere on the rankings except maybe my top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are very solidly other scenes.
Oh, yeah.
But fluctuate, especially depending on what mood I'm in. But this is where it fit today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For me, it was the fight they had after the farmer's market that I ranked at 14 because again, I'm not a huge fan of conflict between the two of them. And we learned a lot, though, at that moment. I just feel like I think the conflict was what got me, and I just am like, okay, that's going to be lower than, the other farmer's market scene. Because TK didn't really respond at all. Like initially, like he was hurt. You could tell he was hurt in the other scene. But this one, you could definitely like TK stood up for himself, and there was some conflict. And it definitely felt bad for Carlos too. He's struggling with stuff that we up until then had not known. So
Yeah.
The number 13 because.
For me, this one, I hate that I ranked this so low, but this is just how things worked out. So this is nothing personal, but it's the firefighters or smug bunch scene. And I think the reason why I flip-flopped, this was originally in my top 10, but then I was like, but these scenes, and I kept flip-flopping. This is the one that was really hard for me because I didn't know where to put it, but I put it here because although it is like one of my favorite lines for like scene-wise, I put it here just because I was like, well, like it was so quick and it was a very short scene. And also the one major factor was because the promo for season 2 and the scene they actually used in the show were different. It was like in the promo, it was like, you love it. And then in the show, it was like, you love it. And so like that was a very different shift for me. So I was like, okay, that is the major reason why I ranked it so low. Because I was like, it just didn't hit the same for me. And I was just like, okay, well, this is just it.
Yeah, for me, it was the post farmers market fight. And honestly, a lot of the same, shared things that EJ just said about hers. This was a scene where I don't blame either of them. And again, I don't like conflict, but also, again, conflict is normal in a relationship. And I've even heard it's healthy. And, it was also very understandable for both sides. But the reason it went lower was just, conflict. And also, it just didn't quite match up to the other scenes that came afterwards.
Right. For me, I actually said the farmer's market scene. I did like it a little bit more than the fight. The whole scene of them at the market, they're doing the shopping, they're kind of bantering back and forth, they're talking about Marjan. And because even in that scene, like Carlos said that for the right person, he would be willing to like move and leave his family because they were talking about like, going back to Texas or going back to Miami for Marjan or versus staying here. And TK's like, would you leave your family? He goes, well, for the right person. So I thought that kind of ranked a little higher for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's interchangeable with several other scenes too. So like, these are really hard.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's just a floater in the rankings. something.
So number 12.
For me, it was the fight. I actually don't hate the fight. I don't even like calling it a fight. I like to call it like a disagreement, I guess, because there were parts in it. I mean, I don't like to see the fight, but like
Right.
for me, it wasn't really a fight. Like, it was just like a disagreement and like a conversation. I like a few lines in this, like the obvious one I mentioned, like probably throughout the whole season 2. Fred from work. I won't go into the whole thing, but yeah, you know, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
But yeah, I do like just little things. There's so many little things about this scene that I like, and I mean, I don't like it, which is why it's 12. But like, if for a fight, it's not actually that bad.
I'd call it more a miscommunication.
Exactly.
They weren't screaming at each other or anything, which is what I think people would think fights are. This was just going not on the same page.
Yeah.
Realizing that they hadn't been on the same page about something.
Yeah. And I don't want them to be painted as the perfect couple is the thing.
Right.
Like, I want them to have disagreements. I want them to be real because that's what a real relationship is with anybody, with friends, with
Right.
family, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever.
Yeah. So my one for 12 is the firefighters are a smart bunch scene. And this one, as Katie put last ranking, this one is hard because like you love it so much, but it's also so not exactly the right word, but insignificant compared to other scenes that come later, like bigger, almost more TARLOS scenes. So it's like, I don't know. I don't find anything to not love about the scene. It just, I don't love it as much as others.
I also said that scene. I think it's, to me, it does. I don't see it as per se a scene. I see it more of just in passing. Like Carlos said something to TK said something back, said a few things back, and then Paul walked up, and so there really was not like an actual big scene. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just it was a cute like passing moment between the two of them, and it was definitely early on in the season, so we had got a lot more that I think ranked definitely higher. So it's not a bad scene. I just was going for something, a little more.
Yeah.
And so how about 11?
For me, it was TK going home to Carlos in the second episode after Tim died. I really liked this, but it was also like one of those other scenes that was kind of like such a small, like, not like small because it was very sweet and I do really like it, but it was like kind of smaller than like other scenes, and like it was like unspoken since there's like music over and stuff, so like it was just like different, and I don't know.
Yeah. Mine was 18 and I are twins again. Mine was Thanks for Being Here, Babe. In the second episode, during Owen's glad you don't have a tumor anymore party.
Hey, free tumor cake.
Cake, exactly. Like, I loved the scene. They looked adorable. Like, TK, they both had such hard eyes.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit like Firefighters Are a Smug Bunch scene for me. Mm-hmm. Like, if there weren't so many other great scenes, it would have ranked higher. Mm-hmm. But as it was just this cute little thing. It was overshadowed a little bit by the whole parents comment, but not drastically. That was just something at the end that left going, wait, I missed something. But yeah, I love it. Then that's about it.
Yeah, I know. Same thing. Yeah, it was cute. I mean, it was great that Carlos was there for Owen's party, so, and it was definitely a cute moment for them because it's not often that Carlos probably gets to come to the station to, see TK, so he got to be there. But yeah, I think it was overshadowed a little bit when TK asked, about meeting Carlos's parents, and Carlos just kind of completely avoiding it.
Not even subtly avoiding it. Like,
it was just
like, boy.
Totally. Yeah. So yeah, it was cute. It was just a great moment between them, and it was good to see them like happy together. Yeah. So now we're moving on to our top 10.
Oh, so yeah.
Number 10. Yeah. We actually all have the same one.
Oh my goodness. And it was the cuddle scene in episode 7.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, like, I really wanted to put in my top 10 because I really did like the moment. Like, from the second that we found out this is going to be a scene before it even aired, I was like, okay. And, like, it's definitely 10 just because, like, there was, like, tension in the moment, not between TK and Carlos, but just because, like, frustrations in TK's life at the time with just becoming a paramedic and thinking Nancy hates him and thinking he made the worst decision in his life.
Right.
But it was sweet because, like, Carlos was there for him and they were, like, cuddling and then they were, like, you know, like, and it is sweet because, like, just when Tiki was explaining the situation and, like, Carlos is like, life is high school and Tiki's like, no. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, same reasons, like, that was a scene I wouldn't trade in for anything just because I needed to see them cuddly like that.
Yeah.
And this is so, like, insignificant scheme of things, but, like, the fact that, like, they switched who was cuddling who at various different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, it's not any higher, just, you know, because of the tension and the fact that the topic, it wasn't a purely domestic scene. Like, it was revolving around, you know, TK's problems. And I love the fact that, like, TK was being a little dramatic and Carlos was being a supportive boy, but also giving it to him straight.
Right.
Which I just want to add, they definitely are not. I can't resist that. Okay.
Yeah.
Solidly 10.
Yeah. I think for me, it ranked a little lower. I've noticed that there's often a trend between, like, and it happens in writing a lot, and it's a great way to do it. So you don't often repeat, like, the same thing over again. So if something happens to a character in one way and somebody else is going to talk about it later, like, they don't go into the same details. So I've noticed that TK, like, it happened one way and then, like, TK kind of explained it. But he was kind of reacting with Carlos, and they've been doing that a lot lately. I've noticed, like, sometimes the TARLOS scenes have been an other context than just two boyfriends getting to know each other and, you know, having a life together. Because it's not often that, you know, cops and firefighters work or have this much of an intimate relationship. Whereas, or at least they understand each other's relationships, because most of the time people don't kind of marry a first responder. Some do. I don't know. But I don't know. It was cute. It was great to have, like, the physical chemistry we see that we kind of haven't had gotten much of. But I don't know. Yeah. It hit the top 10 for sure, but I don't know. If the context had been slightly different, I think it would have been a little more enjoyable for me. That's all.
Yeah.
Though I'm glad that TK had felt comfortable talking to Carlos about it, and that Carlos was being honest with him, but also trying to, like, you know, comfort him too.
Carlos wasn't taking a side. He was just bringing a different viewpoint. And that's something I liked because, you know, when you're in a relationship, who are you going to go to vent about something at work? Likely. Right. And so I liked, you know, as I said before, I would have liked this being a purely domestic scene, but I also liked the fact that this was also very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. I think what I said earlier, I kind of got confused or was going around in a circle. But anyways, I felt like it was more like TK's reaction. So it's kind of nice that they didn't, like, repeat the whole, like, what happened at the fire station. But so Carlos kind of already knew some of it. So apparently they've been talking about it. And I can understand where TK was coming from. And I'm glad he did go to Carlos. You know? So,
yeah.
Yeah. So how about number 9?
For me, it was them in the fire, like, after the, like, when the fire, they realize there's a fire. And, like, for me, it's 9 just because, like, I really liked a lot of the moments in it, but also, like, I don't know, there's just other parts of that scene I think that they would rank higher for me. And this one was, like, it was great, but, like, it was also at a different level for me. And it was also, like, there's just, like, it was like that trying to get out of the fire. And, like, yeah, if it was, like, badass scene, I was like, yeah, kind of badass them, like, trying to get out of a life or death situation.
Yeah. For me, it was his boyfriend's a cop. Once again, EJ and I are twins.
Twinsies.
You know, I loved this scene But it was another. It was a little bit. It was a scene, but also not a scene because it was a scene within a scene.
Yeah.
And I loved the little bit of possessiveness, like innocent possessiveness. Just the line, and also the line, well, I do like people to know your mind.
Yeah, that was a good line too.
I'm just like, I love it. And it's very solidly 9, just for the reasons that everything else been solidly in their numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's 9. I enjoy it. I really liked it. I thought it was cute. I did like, Carlos being open enough to say that out in public, and even going as far as like them even walking up to like Paul and Mateo and Marjan and Salim, kind of cutely and handing over drinks and stuff. So that was even like that whole like storyline or moment was really cool. Again, I think there's definitely scenes that rank higher, but I'm glad we got to see them out in public a little bit because we don't get to see them that much if they're not in uniform. So usually they're in uniform out in town, whereas it was more like a group date in a way, instead of just at home. And I know that they were, the writers wrote in the pandemic storyline, so it makes sense that we wouldn't have seen a lot of out in town type of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So 8. 8 for me was The Boyfriend's a Cop. It was 8 just because, like, I honestly don't count like the before, like them watching her in the roller derby and then the after part. I don't count those as this part of the scene because I kind of think they're separate scenes. They're all filmed at the same place, but I think they're separate. And like, I don't know. I kind of like when that promo, I believe I was on like one of the first few promos, and when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, finally. Because I was like, I would like a little bit of jealous Carlos because he does not peg me as the jealous type and stuff. But like, yes, claim your man. Yes, you do. Like, TK is nobody's property, but just claim him a little bit, please. And I don't know. I just kind of like how like TK's like kind of side eyeing him, being like, excuse me, and being like kind of not like embarrassed, but like kind of a little bit like, excuse me, and being like,
I think he was in his own way, but also he was going to give Carlos a little bit of a hard time for it.
Right. Oh yeah, like he like secretly loves it, but he's like, oh, okay now.
Yeah. For me, let's see. I got distracted. It was the pregame night.
The Carlos Cow Eyes.
Yeah.
Cow Eyes. Oh my goodness, I loved it. Literally just for that little interaction of TK talking about Carlos's cow eyes. Carlos deliberately pulling out the cow eyes, and she just be like, "I'm not gonna look. I'm just looking up." It was really funny.
Yeah, I also said that. It was such a cute scene and very domestic and very stuff that we've wanted for a long time. So I loved that scene. But there were definitely some more ahead that I think are a little better. And it was cut too short. There was only a few moments and then people arrived. So.
Yeah, but it was worth it.
7, yes. So for me, this is their like sexy scene in 12. And although I would love to rank this at like higher, I think it ended up in the place it should have been at. And because like for me, like everybody was dying for a scene like this, but for me, like I don't really care about the intimate type stuff because like honestly, I'd rather see like I guess emotionally intimate stuff, like more personal scenes than this. And also the fact that Owen and Billy were racing over to their house in the middle of this scene kind of like discounted a little bit because it was interrupted. I mean, I still like it, but intimacy isn't everything. Like, it really isn't.
Oh yeah, for sure. For me, it was the makeup scene after the farmers market fight, and this was just like it was everything we needed after that fight, I think, or miscommunication, or however you want to term it. And I think this is like one of the biggest scenes that we see where we see exactly how committed they are to each other. And I think it also like represents a good, healthy relationship standard.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was, I struggled on where to place that. I almost put it a little higher,
Mm-hmm.
but it just got edged out by a few scenes. So honestly, don't have much to say on that. I might pipe in when y'all say that, but that's basically how I look at it.
Okay. Mine was actually when TK goes home to Carlos at the end of 202, after Tim died. I think that was a very sweet moment, and Carlos would have heard about it through the grapevine and was waiting up for TK to come home, and it was very sweet. And it showed how much Carlos was concerned about TK, and like he knew that he was going to come home to him. Not necessarily because we don't know if he texted Carlos that he was coming home there or what.
He had a key at that point.
Right.
I do know that. And like,
Yeah.
I think he
can't.
was surprised that Carlos was waiting. That's what I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I remember that. I see in the key, like, because we could tell then, and that's, I think I even remember thinking then, oh, cool, he has a key. But, he could have easily got home to Owen's place. So it was like Carlos knew he was coming. So either TK had sent him a message that he was coming back to his place, or that Carlos just assumed he was. So,
Or the rearrangements.
Yeah. So I don't know. I liked it. It was cute. It was great to see that, how TK kind of was handling the loss of somebody on the job, because we hadn't really seen that before. We've seen them lose patients before, but we haven't seen them lose one of their own.
Right.
And like Carlos just held on to him and just kind of helped comfort him and just gave him that moment that he needed to just be glad that he's got somebody to go home to.
Right.
Number 6.
Yes, number 6. So for me, this is the thanks for being here, babe scene. This one was really hard to rank just because, like, I don't know. Again, like most of these scenes, the other parts that come after it, I just, like, completely just disregard. I'm like, this does not count for this scene. I only pay attention to this part, which is true. But it was also, like, the first babe. It was, like, the first time, well, it wasn't the first time that Carlos showed up there, but it was like of the first, like, I guess, big moment there and stuff, at least to our knowledge. And I don't know, I feel like it's kind of hard. Well, it's easier now, but like it's kind of hard for TK to like open up to his feelings and like acknowledge his feelings. So like this was like in season 2, it was like one of the bigger, like, I guess, progression moments. And it was sweet, like Carlos being like, they're kind of like flirty with each other, being like, free tumor cake.
Yeah.
So this was Kate going home to Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene, another hard one to rank. But for one thing, I love the music that accompanied that scene.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Just hallelujah. And also it was like, it was only a glimpse of a scene. It was just like half a minute long, maybe. And it was no words, no nothing, but it was like it showed TK like curling in to Carlos, like after a horrible experience, and them just, leaning on each other. And I can't even just put into words how much I love just that scene. But it was like, that was the moment where I watched the scene, I'm like, okay, I'm good, but also now I'm crying because obviously I've been able to cry before now.
Same.
Because I've immunized myself to so much of the show. But yeah, that was just it was everything to me.
Yeah, for number 6 for me was them moving in together. It was so awesome to finally have that, to see the boxes scattered around, see Owen helping them, Carlos struggling to, call Owen, his name. I think it was really cute. And then even like before Owen walked in, it's our dining room now. So it was totally like exciting to finally have that. But again, it was a great scene, but there's a few others that I liked more.
Yeah.
But now it's
top 5. Yes. Yeah, like the top 10 matters, but the top 5 like matters even more. But mine for this was actually the Tarlos movement. And this, I don't know. I think my reasoning was just I wanted it to be in the top 5. I was like, this is a real big moment. Like, they're already moved in after a season of being together. And, like, there's just so many cute moments. First of all, this is where we get, like, our first, like, real kiss. Because there were, like, slight kisses in other episodes. But, like, that and like it was just cute to see like their like how they can banter with each other, like how Tiki like basically has Carlos run into like the wall with his exercise bike, and like how he's like, well, Nancy knows how to drive better than you or something like that. And stuff, and like the kiss and like just the sweet little moments in this episode. I don't know, I just love it.
I believe Ronan called it the fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, which made us think a lot different things we thought than like, you know.
Are they rechristening the couch or something?
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. I was like,
we all thought that.
I think 12 was the fireworks scene.
Oh yeah. Explosive, that's for sure.
So for me, Katie and I are twins this time because I also had the move-in. Again, I also wanted this to be part of top 5, but it genuinely was because like this was such a big moment, and also one I would just like to say I called, like for what was going to happen.
Yes,
and I was just like, I loved every bit of the scene. I loved the light domestic feel to it. Nothing heavy going on. I even loved the whole, line of thought that came in the later half of the episode that was like, okay, well, future son-in-law still can't call his future father-in-law by his name.
Yeah.
I just like look at all of that. But yeah, I don't, Katie well expressed how I feel about the scene. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm putting it very proudly number 5.
Yeah. So mine was Tarlos in the fire. It was TK jumping into firefighter mode when he saw that Carlos was kind of panicking, and when the fire started in the room, it was like, now what do we do? And let's jump. And the whole like Carlos not really able to say it because he's kind of like in shock, but then he's like he wants to say it, and then TK like realizing what he's trying to say, we get like the I love you too, and that was just really, I think, big for me because it was like really the first time that had been said between the two of them officially.
Yeah, not like maybe.
Right. Well, and like because in 4 we got that somebody loves you, so it was like a hinting, but it never had actually come out to say I love you. So that's why I ranked it where I did. So how about 4?
4 was in episode 8 at the end after TK's found by Owen and Carlos, and they kind of hold each other. This one was hard because, like, I don't know, I didn't know where to put it, but I also didn't want to put it too low because this is like a really sweet, protective scene. This is like the scene that 12 in the lowest ranked could have been, in my opinion, now that I think of it. But it wasn't, which is fine. But I don't know, I really liked it. It wasn't like super major, but it also was major because like this was honestly like a year after TK was shot, and like that scene was very like emotional and protective in a sense. So this is almost like a parallel to that in a different sense. But I don't know, I just liked this part of it.
Yeah. So mine was the Tarlos Sexy Times in number 12. It was just like, I agree about the whole emotional intimacy point that you brought up, Katie. But also, I really wanted the scene.
Yeah.
It was like ever since 102, I'm like, just one scene, please.
Yeah.
And this is so much better than 102 was.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, this, like, if I'm gonna compare those two scenes, this one definitely ranks, like, 100 notches above that one.
Oh,
yeah. Scene was that, like, so 102 had basically, that had the feel of a hookup. A very hot hookup, but a hookup. And this was, like, this was playful, this was drawn out a little bit, this was kind of soft in its own ways, but like fire. And yeah, I really liked it. It didn't top my top 3, so to speak. Like, it didn't quite fit in there. But just, I just really like that scene.
And for me, it was also that scene, the sexy times. It was definitely fun, and we could see the intimacy. We could see the this is what probably been doing since they moved in together. It was playful and cute, and I'm not gonna lie, seeing Rafa take his shirt off was pretty nice to see. So
Yes.
not complaining there.
The boy is beautiful.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So that's it. So how about we're into our top 3 already.
Oh yeah, top 3. Okay, I was thinking this the other day, and we're definitely be the ones to like be like this, but like I need to know Ronan's top 3 because he gave us his top 3 for season 1, but he has yet to say for season 2, so we're gonna be the ones to be like, Ronan, oh please tell us.
Secretly listen to the podcast in all your spare time. Give us your freaking top 3.
Yes,
Right,
I need to know. I need to know. But anyways, my 3 in the top 3 is the pre-game night scene, Carlos Cow Eyes. That line just makes me want this to be number 3, and it is number 3, but it's just like I like that line, and this like is real couple stuff. Like them preparing for game night, I feel like that's very coupley. And like I don't know, like I just like TK. I just like TK and Carlos in the scene. Might I say they look so fine from what I remember. I don't know. I just love it. It's not like anything major, but like it's a cute couple stuff we've been wanting. So there's that.
Yeah. So my 3 in my top 3 is Tarlos in the fire. This scene, it was like I was terrified for them. Like I knew they weren't going to kill off Tarlos, obviously, but it was still like, okay, that is really terrifying. But for one thing, we had the first "I love you," and that tops everything right there. And honestly, just them. I ran out of words, but just them. I love it. That belongs in my top 3. Like, there's no taking that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, mine was them holding on to each other in 208 when Owen and Carlos showed up and helped rescue them. And I don't know, it was just like, is that relief of like Carlos was there, TK was relieved to see him, even though he was kind of obviously dizzy and, and kind of a concussion from getting hit on the head.
More than a little concussion.
Not gonna lie, I forgot about that for literally 2 seconds. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He does get hurt.
Yeah, but it was cute, like, and in some ways, like, Carlos wasn't able to do his job the way that he would normally do it, but he kind of went rogue, you could say, and so him and Owen finding them was just really cool, and just the reunion after such a tense like day, it was really cute. I loved it.
Yeah, especially like after like the leading up to it, like him sitting at dinner by himself being like, where are you, TK?
Right.
And stuff.
And then finding his chip there in the parking garage. And
honestly, just him not even being mad. He's just concerned. Like, okay, where's my boyfriend? I need to go find my wayward boyfriend. Where is he?
Right.
Yes. So too, for me, this was the makeup in 204 and stuff, and I don't know, like this, when I was like looking at it, I was like, okay, this is like the second like emotionally, and I like kind of like emotionally physical, like those kind of scenes, which I believe Ronan has said he likes those kind of scenes, which is kind of funny to me to now thinking about that. But I don't know, I liked like the makeup. I liked how like TK was basically like, I feel like season 1, Carlos was there for TK after him trying to figure out his shit and stuff, respectfully so. And then like in this season, I feel like in some ways it was like TK's turn to do that for Carlos, and like just like him being like his whole speech with like, I'll tell, you can tell your parents I'm your boyfriend, your personal chef, your personal shopper, whatever you want, like however long it may be, which luckily wasn't very long, but yeah, like 4 episodes. And if Gabriel said nothing, who knows how long it would have went. But I don't know. I don't know. I like the emotional and like the connection aspects of this whole thing. I could go on and on about it. I don't know why. I just love it.
So for me, it was the Tarlos holding each other. And this scene, like having had such a, emotionally charged episode before that with everything going on with Carlos and TK, and then like watching Carlos like get really concerned and just watching all the emotions that led up to this and seeing the relief that both of them have just like clinging to each other, and it's like this is another one I run out of words on because it's just so perfect. How can I possibly try and talk about it? But yeah, that is definitely my number 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is the same as Katie's, the makeup scene in 204. A lot of great moments, a lot of great elements. TK coming over here, really unsure if Carlos was upset, would even let him in. And Carlos is like, well, you have a key. And he's like, yeah, but I thought you might want that back. And, then the whole like TK standing up and saying, look, that really hurt when you didn't introduce me as to your parents, and I'm not sorry for that, the way I reacted, but, you need to open up. And then Carlos did, and TK had a choice at that moment, and he made the right one.
I think he made the mature one.
Yeah, he totally could have said, okay, well, I can't deal with that, and walk out. But he chose not to, and he's like, look, regardless of what I am to your parents, you can tell them I'm whatever, and I'm going to be here for as long as it takes. And that's like the most mature. And I'm like, I was so proud of TK in that moment because we've seen TK grow so much in these last 2 seasons.
Just him coming back was so mature. And then everything else, it's like, I'm just, as she said, I'm so proud of him.
Right. I'm so proud of him. Ronan and Rafa do amazing together. Their chemistry is amazing. You can see it on screen. Yeah, I could talk hours on these scenes. They're so good. Very well done. That was my number 2. So now, number one.
Yeah.
So it's the same scene.
Yep.
Yeah, which I knew our bottom one and our top one would be the same. I just had the feeling. I just knew it. But yeah, the Tarlos after the fire when TK comforts Carlos. Oh, that was just everything. And like this scene, just like honestly, in general, the whole show, like Tarlos wise, favorite. Like it's just like everything, like and stuff, and seeing like Carlos break down because I feel like he's the one that's like usually the comforter and stuff. Like I don't know, and like I don't know, it's just like everything and so emotional but so beautiful, and I just love it.
Yeah.
For me, it's like as you just said, like Carlos is always the pillar which he can lean on, and just overall supportive guy. And seeing him like finally kind of break was both the worst thing ever and the best thing ever. Just because we needed that, and just his heartbreaking line of "I didn't think we were going to get out of there," and him beating himself up over a freaking fire extinguisher. It's like, okay, first of all, sir, that would have done no good. Also, let it go. But just everything there.
I agree. Everything you guys said. This was monumental for them for a long time. Carlos has been the chaser and the strong one, and the rock for TK. And many of the people at the firehouse and Michelle. So this was his time to break. And when he got off the phone with his dad, and TK's like, is he coming? And Carlos makes the comment about, I've never heard him this upset. TK kind of looks away, and he's like, the wheels are turning in his head because like he can tell that Carlos is not okay. And he finally asks him, and then Carlos just breaking down about the fire extinguisher not being upstairs and things like that. And I like, it's so he was so upset, but he was upset for valid reasons. But I was so glad, like, TK comforting him, just telling him, hey, we're okay. It's okay. We made it out. And I'm grateful that Billy and Owen got there. Bobby, wrong series.
I'm sorry, but I was like, I was like, well, they met. Wow,
What?
that's great.
I mean, I want them to, but
Oh, slip of the tongue, wrong series. No, I was glad that Billy and Owen got there when they did, so they didn't have to jump because, they could have gotten really injured by jumping out of a 20-foot drop, and
Yeah, they
just,
could have died.
yeah, yeah.
it's like, we're definitely gonna die if we stay here. Let's take our chance.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And in those situations, I mean, and that's about what you have to do. I mean, they could have easily like dropped themselves. Like they're both strong enough. They could have like held onto the windowsill and like dropped, just a little bit and then gone the rest of the way. But still, they would have probably broken a leg or two, maybe broken an arm. So yeah, I'm grateful they didn't get hurt. And it's going to be a big step, next season to see how they take it. And I know the last 2 episodes of the show we didn't get a lot, but this was a really good wrap up for Tarlos this season, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Yeah.
They've been through, honestly, hell and back.
Yeah.
And they've come out stronger together. So, yeah, I love that scene. And again, Rafa and Ronan chemistry, so good.
They
Those
could not
guys.
cast better for that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, like.
Well, it's not biased, of course, but they could never have cast better for that.
No, I don't think any actor I know of could have ever pulled it off like those two did.
Oh no.
And you can tell comfort that they have with each other on and off screen when they work together. And I know Ronan has said that he enjoys working with the emotional one-on-one scenes with Rafa because they just bounce off each other so well. And it truly shows in scenes like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we had a good time, and now we're down to like honorable mention.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's a lot of
yes.
honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah. These are like all the ones that are originally in our original list, but then I was like, yeah, no, these are getting taken out because some of them are just like more insignificant than the ones we thought were insignificant.
Yeah.
That were still like valid. I mean, everything's valid, but like valid scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, which was really hard to not like count it, but it was also just a line because some of these are just lines. But in 208, when Tiki's giving his whole like speech after years sobriety, being like, "And I met an incredible man," I was like, every time I hear that line, I'm just like, oh my god, I love that. Yeah.
I just noticed one that's not on here. I'm going to throw it out, or it's on here and I don't recognize what language it is.
Yes, go for it.
It's the brief interaction when Carlos is babysitting. The scene Rafa goes ovaries over.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget that because it's not really Tarlos, but it's also TK just going, "I can't wait to have his baby." Looking at him.
Oh yeah, that's how I take it for sure.
Like it's more small than it's smaller than anything else here, I think. But it's still like can't forget that.
Yeah. So like another one would be in 210 when Tarlos goes to meet Owen at the vet, some Buttercup's there. You could not convince me that they were not like at like some brunch together, like a date. You could not convince me because the shirts they were wearing, that was not casual.
And they matched.
Yes, exactly. They had to be doing some shenanigans that day.
Well, I mean, they looked put together, so obviously it was, not that kind of shit.
Right. And it was such a cute scene, but yeah, I did like that one, and I loved seeing them interact with Buttercup. I would have liked to see more with them, but maybe we'll get some more next season.
Can we get like I'm just gonna throw it out there, but can we get like Tarlos with Buttercup somewhere with maybe at like their new house and like the Buttercup lays across her lap with just them because we got like them petting him, but Owen was also on scene, and I like Owen, but like I kind of wanted just them petting Buttercup.
Yeah.
Dream is to see Carlos and TK just fast asleep together, and Buttercup jumping from the rug where he's supposed to be onto the bed.
Yeah,
like wiggling his way in between them.
Yeah, please.
Oh,
yeah, I would love that. And
Yeah,
then Tarlos and Carlos's parents in 11. It's like the end of 11, very end. That was just like Yeah.
And then we've got the hangout in 214 where like TK's like, no, say like babe. He was like, so he like called him babe again. So we got it at the beginning of the season and we got it at the end of the season and sometimes in the middle.
Yeah, I really like, I was like, this one, like, it was very little Tarlos, but it also is just like, I don't know, like, at this point, this is like so many group scenes later, and it's cute. It's like just so casual, like, TK's friends are Carlos's friends.
Yeah. And TK holding Carlos's hand at the intervention. That's our next one.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Roden has said how he fought for that to be like in the episode and for that to be a thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, see,
Here's what we want.
Like,
Yes.
thank you, Ronan.
Ronan is like the biggest Tarlos fan and stan. Like he will give us all the stuff that like is not in the scripts, which I love and stuff. Like that's everything, and like that was like like it was such like a sweet moment because you would think in a moment like that they would be holding hands, and Ronan made it happen.
Yes.
Another thing we have is Tarlos at the burnt firehouse in 213 because it was like a day after the fire at their place.
Yeah.
Like,
I was.
No group hangouts there.
Yeah. I would assume like the night after or whatever, but yeah, and like they're like unpacking the snacks, standing next to each other. Carlos is in a hoodie, and I'm like, TK, I get it. All yours, Bert. Okay, fine. It's getting to that point where I can like slightly joke about it, and it's okay. And then the game night, actually in the game night, like when everyone's over, and the line that really makes this sort of a Tarlos scene, but more of an honorable mention is when Paul, I almost could find Paul Tarlos as I was talking, but no, Tarlos in the game night when Paul is like, we need to like take down that whole Tarlos Juggernaut.
Yeah.
They just said Carlos.
Yeah, it was like when I was watching that episode, which I know we talked about before, but it's too good not to say again. But like, I was like, they just said Tarlos in the show. Like shows do that, but like it was just everything.
I loved it.
And then 201, the group meet at Tarlos. That was the first one. And like, although there were things that are cut out of this, which I don't want to get into because it really doesn't matter at this point, it was still like great, and it was still cute, and it was great. I don't know. And then I feel like there's other scenes that like just don't really have a place. So like in 201 in the tank scene when there's like all lined up, TK and Carlos at one point are standing next to each other, really close to each other, might I add, and stuff. And this is like on the job stuff. And then
like I'm going. Like if you take him out, I'm going with him.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then in 210, at the end of the episode, Tarlos was like shown at the birthday party, kind of standing next to each other and stuff, which I don't know, like for me, that's like sweet and stuff, just to like kind of see that. But yeah, that's all the rankings, I guess, for this time around. Obviously, this is like an every season tradition now.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And we'll get a whole season 3 full of stuff too.
I know. 18 episodes of stuff. Yeah, so excited. Like it's so far away, but like I'm excited just with the thought of that.
Yeah.
I know we managed to get through ranking pretty quickly. I'm hoping we'll have so many Tarlos scenes next season that will take longer.
Right.
I know, yeah. This one will probably be like a little bit longer than our last one because that one was like I think like 11 scenes, and this one is 15 plus the 11 other ones that we had on top of that and stuff. But yeah,
I'm really happy that we had like the three of us picked a lot of similar ranking numbers. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We had twins, and some of us picked the same, all of them the same. So
yeah, it is like interesting because like we like didn't like we I didn't know like certain ones what you guys ranked until now. And so it was interesting to see like which ones we had similar in like our different reasons for where we put them. And I was like hearing that, and I definitely will probably post something so that way you guys can tell us how you want to rank them or how you would rank them, because I'm really curious.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
cool. Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Anchor. We're also on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and almost anywhere you can find podcasts. On iTunes, please rate us and leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. You can follow the podcast on our socials at 911 LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we're also on Discord. So if you guys are interested in the link, just send us a direct message and we will get it to you. It's also in our Instagram bio, so you can check it out there as well.
Yeah, that might be the easiest way to get it, just for easy access and
Yeah.
stuff. But you can follow me, Katie, at For Love of Tarlos on Instagram and at For Love of Tarlos on Twitter.
You can follow me, Grace, at RonanRathon911 on Instagram and at SheepGirl31 on Twitter.
You can find me, EJ, at EJ8302 at Instagram and Twitter. Bye.
Bye.